Hello everyone, as a couple days ago 4070 Super was introduced, we already have some data to work with it to distinguish which cards it's worth to buy and which cards is better to skip. So today we have 8 cards already for the review. The first one is the Asus Dual Super, which is around $600. We can see it's a 2-slot card. For the temperature, it's around like pretty average, 65 on the core, 75 on the memory, so nothing to worry about it. We have the information that the fans are double ball bearing, which is quite positive, so we're gonna mark this one as a green. Also the noise level is pretty fine. Anything below 35 dB I consider to be a good result. Also considering the temperature, so the temperature is okay, the noise level is okay. We can see that these cards use 8 phases, which is a SiC VSHI VRM chips, which is above average quality. We see the power limit is 242, which is again not bad. So let's have a look on the component cooling. Once again, I want to emphasize that this blue section, everything is related to the cooling. This is not the quality. When here you see the good, very good, it's not the components quality, it's the components cooling. The component quality is this one. Unfortunately, all manufacturers decided to skip the Alpha Omega VRM chips, which, for example, if we will have a look on the 4070, there was plenty of them. But as recently, especially these VRM chips in 3090s started to blow with much higher rate. I guess they understand that it's not the good quality components, and everybody now using the average ones, not the top one. There is now top ones like here. Again, we can see there is no top quality component, just the average and the bad ones. But for example, in 4070 Ti, we can see the top quality components, MPS 4080, again top quality components. Here is the top quality components. But again, in the Super, we are skipping the Alpha Omega VRM chips, and everything is or NCP or SiC, which is a SiC VSHI. So let's go back to our card. Let's have a look at the components cooling quality. Here we can see that the memory pass has a direct contact with the heatsink. Here we can see that the VRM chips is a direct contact. Here we can see VRM chips and VRM chokes has a direct contact. But also there is some thermal pads on the backplate, which again helping to dissipate the heat. Now let's have a look at the PCB. Here we can see this one has a direct contact, this one has a direct contact, this VRM chips has a direct contact, but this VRM chokes was missing the direct contact. That's why it's getting the good rating, not the very good, because this chokes is missing the direct contact. Also, there was a thermal pads placement for this part. I guess it's just to have equal pressure on the heatsink. It's empty, there is no memories here, but they decided to put it there. Maybe it's solving some problems or improving some quality. Here we can see that the 8-phase design, which again using the SiC VSHI VRM chips, and for the memory also the same. And the memory chips is the Micron for all the cards, so there is no difference in this one. That's why at this point, if you need a 2-slot card, I can say that we can consider with $600, it's not a bad card. And I heard previously people were saying there's a coil wine, there were meeting, but like from my experience, I never had a experience of coil wine with any of Asus cards. And most of the time that can be coming from the PC, because some PCUs, the power supplies with the graphic cards work differently, and they can be the reason of the graphic cards generating the coil line. And when you take the same graphic card but pair it with another PCU, cold one can be much lower and you will not hear it in the case. So maybe that's why, as I'm using only one PCU for like past like 3-4 years, that's why maybe I never met this issue with the Asus cards. But anyway, if you will have a PCU and GPU combination which is generating the cold wine, maybe you can skip the Asus and buy another brand. Not too risky, especially if in your country you cannot return the GPU as easily as in US. So at this point we can say that this is a good card. Now let's have a look at the second card, which is a top version, which is a much more higher tier compared to the dual one. So the price is already high. It's on second highest price tag for this bench, $690. Temperatures, we can see 61 degrees, running much cooler because it's beefier, has a beefier cooler. Normalized temperatures is even much lower. The memory is very good. Again, using the double ball bearing fans, noise level is much less. Now let's have a look at the components of this card. So first let's have a look at the cooling. Again, here we are seeing that it has a direct contact with the heatsink, both for the VRM and VRM chips from this side, and again VRM and VRM chip of this side. That's why it's getting the very good rating, because all VRM and VRM chokes is being cooled. Also there is a pads on the backplate, and here we can see VRM chips, VRM chokes, VRM chokes, VRM chips. They all being directly contacted with the thermal pads with the heatsink. So it's getting the very good rating. So it's using the 9-phase design, using again the same Vishay thick components for the VRM, and has a little bit higher power limit, 253, weight a little bit more. So what I can say, if it was like $600, maybe I would say that this could be our like top recommendation, but it's $690. With this money you can grab like 4070 Ti second hand, which like was introduced a year ago, so it's not old kind, and also that these cards haven't been mined. For example, like I got my 4070 Ti for $600, the Gigabyte OC. You see it was 860, so I got for 600. And again, this is a good card. It has a fuse, everything, so you can also grab. So like $690, I cannot recommend this card, even though it's as a card, it's a very good one. Let's have a look at the next one. It's a Game World Ghost. Again, dual slot card. Very light ones, just 760 grams. Let's have a look at the cooling. Here we can see this, I don't know why, but these thermal pads are different from the other ones, at least by the color. So I guess they're manufactured by the other company. We can see that the heatsink is very tiny. The back plate doesn't have any thermal pads to dissipate heat. The PCB. So again, like this VRM chokes has a direct contact. This VRM chips has a direct contact. That's why it's getting good rating, because these chokes is missing the direct contact. They just being cooled by the air here, like only by the air, and only the VRM chips has a direct contact. But again, like nothing to worry. It using the 8-phase design, using the NCP VRM chips, which is quite good. But now let's go and see what's the problem. So the problem is the temperatures. It's running hot, 76 degrees, 89 on the hotspot, 76 on the memory. The memory more or less is okay, but for the core, running very loud, like 39.3 is very loud. And it doesn't have any headroom in the power limit. It's the lowest Another lowest card is a PNY. The rest of the bunch has at least some headroom in the power limits. So with this noise level and normalized results, even like reaching the 80 degree, I cannot recommend this card because 600. So this is winning. So we cannot recommend this card. Put the red one. Just skip it because there is no reason to grab this one when there is this card in the market. Now the next one. The next one is very interesting. It's a Gigabyte Aorus Master, and it looks like they put the cooler from 4080 or 4070 Ti. It's a huge cooler. It's the heaviest one, 1.6 kilogram, and it's the biggest one out of this bench. And it has a 10 phase. It has a like 350 watts power limit. It's like the monster of the card, and it has the best component cooling. You see every single part, the chip on the PCB, every single part, even the parts which doesn't generate that much of heat, has a direct contact with the heatsink, and it's being cooled. So it's getting the very good rating, and also you can see the result of it on the temperatures. 58 on the core, 54 on the memory. It's running a little bit noisy, but again, as we have a headroom in the temperature, we can tweak by the MSI afterburner like around 32 dB, and maybe the temperature will rise to 62, 64, which is pretty good temperatures for this card. But again, the price $700, 690. Let's say if I will be considering between these two, and I have no issue with the space in my case, I will grab the Gigabyte one because of the fuse on the PCI Express lane, which in case of some failure will protect your motherboard and maybe even the CPU and other components. So $10 is definitely worth paying to get this one over the Asus. So again, on the top level, this is number one pick, but again, it is too close to the 4070 Ti second-hand used one, which is have been used maybe like a year in the PC, or even you can find the open box ones. So I don't see any reason grabbing this card for 700. And 350 watts will not give you like a lot of headroom in the overclocking because of the chip limitation by itself, if you are not going to do any extreme ones. So let's have a look here. So it's the same dual. It's running just 1 frame slower in the overclocked version. So 1 frame's $100. I don't see any reason. So again, I cannot recommend this card with this price. If the price will go down, this will be my top one pick out of these 8 cards. Now the Founders Edition. So the Founders Edition is not good, but also is not bad. It's something in the middle. It's like 1 kilogram. It's the dual slot card. Again, the cooling is good because this is the VRM chips direct contact. Again, VRM chips, but all the VRM chokes doesn't have a direct contact. That's why it's getting the good rating, not the very good here. So these VRM chokes, these chokes, they don't have any direct contact with the heatsink. And it's using 7 phase, the lowest, with the Zotac and PNY, and using the NCP, which is again average quality VRM chips. But the temperature again is on the high side, 69 with 35 dB. If it will be a little bit high, you can decrease it and make it like 72, and the memory maybe will rise to 77, 78. It's quite okay, but again, like $600, when there is this $600, I don't see any reason buying this card. So in all aspects, this one is a better buy. It has a similar power limit. The next card is a PNY Verto. Again, very light card. The lightest 677 grams, which is not a good sign, I can say. So the cooling, here we can see 1, 2 VRM chips. Now let's have a look here. 1, 2. So there is no direct contact for this one. So this one is not being cooled by the heatsink. That's why it's getting very bad rating, because this one is responsible for the core. So it's running even a little bit hotter than this one and this one, which is responsible for the memory. So it doesn't have a direct contact. The temperatures similar to the game board. The noise also similar. And again, $600. No headroom in the power limit. Just 7 phases. There is no point in this card again. I would recommend. I also would say skip this one too. So these two you can skip. The rest, depending on the availability in your country, you can consider, and also the prices. And again, the normalized result is terrible. It's like 81 degree. I will not recommend this card. So one interesting thing which I forgot to mention is here. So I hardly doubt that the normalized Gigabyte is running 49.1. There is definitely error here, because if the noise level is 36.7, it's getting 58 degree. If you decrease the noise level to 35, which is the normalized result threshold, this temperature should rise, not to go lower by 9 degree. So this one could be not 49, but 59. So I'll put the 59, I'll put the asterisk here. So this should be around 59, which is making it a little bit hotter than the tough version. But there is a explanation for this, because the better the component cooling, the more components is transferring the heat to the heatsink, the hotter core will run. So that's why it's running a little bit hotter compared to the tough version. So the next card is a Palit Jetstream. It's nice card. 3 slots. Heavy one, which is a good sign. But again, as I'm saying, when there is not a direct contact with the heatsink, but there is some metal plate which is acting like something in the middle, I'm putting the OK rating. Not the good, not the very good, because it's not as efficient as if there is direct contact with the heatsink. So here we can see that all VRM chips has a direct contact with that metal plate, which is screwed on the heatsink. That's why it's getting the OK rating. The temperatures are good, nothing to worry about, both for the memory and the GPU core. Normalized temperatures are, again, pretty good. It has some headroom in the power limit, using the 8-phase NCP VRM chips. But again, it costs $650 when you can get the Super for $600 and running a little bit high on the memory, but has for sure like the better fan, because we don't know this, and the components cooling is better. I don't see a reason why somebody have to go and buy this one instead of buying this one. I don't see the reason. And the last card is Zotac. This is not the dual slot version, it's a triple slot. Again, not super light card. Here we can see that the both VRM chips has a direct contact. And again, there is some extra thermal pad, even though there is no memory at that side. Here. We'll see, maybe not to have to equalize the pressure. I don't know why they are put, but I guess there is some reason, because it costs money. So this VRM chip says direct contact, this one says direct contact, the chokes are missing. That's why it's getting a good rating, not a very good. It's using 7-phase NCP VRM chips. The temperatures are okay. You can see the noise level are very good. Normalized are very good, because this is a triple slot cooler with 3 fans. Again, enough power limit, just a 7-phase instead of 8. So I will say in this way. So this is our budget recommendation, which is 600. And as most people worry about the coil line, so I guess this is a safe bet to recommend. And the second one will be this one, in case you don't have a space in your PC, or you are running, I don't know, like SFF case with some limitations, or like you don't have a Zotac in your country, you bought this one, you didn't have a coil line, you're pretty happy with this card. Because the only difference, let's say, it's the cooling. The both has a good component cooling, just the noise level is a little bit different, because this is a 2-fan cooler, this is triple fan cooler. They both same power limit, just 1 phase less, but again, like these cards use so much less power compared to the previous generation, so even the 7 phases are pretty much enough. So for today's video, we came to the conclusion that it doesn't worth spending more money than $600 for the 4070 Super, and if in your country you can find it like these models being sold even cheaper, then you can consider it. But in $600, or even this one, if it will be cheaper, why not? But in US, $600, I don't think it's worth paying $650 for this one, or like $690, $700 for this ones. And this $600, like if there is no other option, maybe I will grab that one too. But these two, if they are available in the market, most probably I will get the Zotac, as I have a space. But if again you don't have a space in your case, you have alternative, and it's much better buy than the Founders Edition. So that's all for today. Thank you. Leave a comments, ask the questions if you have any, and if new cards will appear in the reviews, please send me the links. I'll review and update this file, and if there will be enough more cards, maybe I will do a part 2. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next one. Thank you.